Hi, so I'm just going to show you what send effects are, how to set them up in Logic Pro, and what you might use them for in a mix. I'm going to show you how to use 4 send effects. Okay, so I've got a short little loop here that could form the basis of a beat. It's got 11 tracks, and it's made up of a combination of audio samples played as loops, and then we've got some samples loaded into the ESX24, some more loops, and some synthesis as well. So I'll just play you through all the different tracks. So it started off with a little loop. That just repeats. I laid a kick where the kick hits come just to fatten up the kick a bit. Two's together sound like this. Okay, then into that I added a clap being played in the ESX24. Just to add that emphasis on the offbeat. And then there's a tambourine loop, I believe this one is. Followed by another percussion loop. Then there's a really processed guitar loop, which I've also pitch shifted to make a chord change. Then I've reinforced this with some piano chords, playing the same chords. And then I synthesized a bass sound using retro synth, a kind of acidy kind of retro bass sound. To that I added a sub just using the ESX24 with no samples loaded and a little free saturation plugin. You could use a distortion if you wanted to. Then I've synthesized a couple of little siren sounds which are very common in the genre of Dublin reggae. Okay, so there are all the different elements. Right, so I'm going to open up the mixer by hitting Command and 2, sorry. Right, so firstly, you can see that all the tracks are assigned to track 10. This is simply because this is the output I've got set to record into back into my computer. So you don't need to worry about what's going on there, but just be aware that that they're all being sent to output 10, which routes through to my external kind of routing system. Okay, so I have already taken the liberty of setting up a few different send effects already, but I'm going to show you how to set up a send effect. So, what a send effect is an auxiliary track running the effect. Okay, so rather than inserting it just directly on one track, if we use a send effect, we can send multiple tracks to the same effect, which can be really cool. So we can put all of our tracks within the same acoustic space, for example, if we have them all send into the same reverb. And I'll show you a few of the tricks along the way that you can do. But the important thing to note is that the original track will have none of the affected sound, the process sound. So the example I've used is reverb. It will have none of the reverb on the original track, and all the reverb will just be on the auxiliary track. Okay, so if you muted the auxiliary track, all the reverb would disappear off all the tracks that you've got routed through to it. Okay, so what we're going to do to create a new auxiliary track, we're going to go to a track. So say if we choose, I don't know, the acid bass, for example. So I'm just going to click down here where you can see over on the left hand side, it explains this is all the sends part of the mixer. So we click on there, go to bus, and we can choose an unused bus. And Logic very kindly creates a new auxiliary channel for us. So a new auxiliary channel has been created over here. Okay, so we can go over to here. It's defaulted to call it auxiliary 6. So I'm going to choose an effect. And you insert the effect like you would on any other channel, but this is on an auxiliary channel. So to hear it, we'll need to send some signal to it, but we'll come back and do that. So I'm going to go for a tape delay. I absolutely love this plugin. Emulates an old tape echo pedal. So it's got a really nice, some really nice kind of plugins. So I always go for this 8th note dotted dub. Sounds brilliant. The feedback can sometimes be a bit loud, but yeah, the presets are a great place to get started. And I'm just going to route this to my 3/4 out so you guys can hear it. So now, if I want to hear some delay on my acid bass, if I turn up, and this is really important, you've got to turn that up. We always get so many students do everything right with setting up sends because it is quite confusing, but then they forget to send any signal to the send and wonder why they've got no effect. So just play the bass on its own. This is really nice, it's got a filter on it. So it's just adding that bit of ambience. Now what I could do is I could say, okay, I want some of that same ambience on, say, this phone siren. So I could go over here and choose the same auxiliary 6. And all of a sudden it's sounding a little bit more unified. Okay, so I'm just going to turn those sends off because I've got some set up. Okay, so that's basically how we create our send effects. So I'll just take you through some of the different options I've given myself on this mix and why I might use them. So first of all, definitely with the phone siren, I've set up a room reverb and a dotted tape reverb. So I think first of all we'll try the delay. So you can hear just adds that character, and then I've got a medium spring reverb, so I'm going to add a load of that. And I'm going to choose exactly the very similar settings with my other siren. So we went for the tape reverb. So just skip the loop points. And again, we'll go to the medium spring reverb. So there we've used two send effects, and you know they're quite obviously being used as effects. You can really hear the difference, but we can use these processes a lot more subtly. So say the tambourine. Okay, nothing inherently wrong. Quite a nice tambourine sound, to be honest. But I just want it to sit back a little bit in the mix. So for this, I'm going to select. I've set one up here, which is a room reverb. So I like there's a really nice preset that I really like in the Chromaverb, the Studio One. I absolutely love it, and the only difference I always do is add a bit of pre-delay, which helps just to push it back and make it a little less obvious. So I want a room reverb just to not be noticeable, but just to help to unify sounds. So I'm going to choose to add this to a few of my different percussion elements. I shouldn't really be listening to them on their own, so I'm going to play all of the drums to start with the tambourine. Feels a little strange having a 5/4 bar. I tend to find with this this particular reverb, once you start going past about 9 o'clock, starts to sound really noticeable, but you can use it really nicely just if you use it a little bit less than that. So maybe even a bit on the drum loop, just to help unify it all together. I'm just going to use a tiny bit here. Something I don't do very often, but I might even try it on the kick. Why not? Yeah, works quite well. Okay, so now I've got kind of those going. Now, what I might want to do though is with the clap, might want that to fall into the more kind of dubby feel. So I'm going to add some of the medium spring reverb to that as well. Okay, so I will just turn the reverb's off that sound. It's just with the room reverb and then with the spring as well. Okay, so I've just rolled off those amounts a little bit because I thought it was sitting a little bit too far back. And then we'll bring in this percussion, maybe add a little bit of the room on here. Now I'm even adding some to the guitar, although that's already a heavily affected sample, just because it's going to help to pull it into the same acoustic spacing. Because it's a short reverb, you don't really notice it, but you do notice it when I take it away. So I'll show you what I mean there actually. See if you can notice the difference. You need to be listening through reasonable headphones. Okay, so then we're going to move on to the piano. So probably need to keep these in. So the piano is completely dry at the moment. So we could definitely add some sparkle to that. So we'll go with the medium spring reverb. Excuse me. And I think we'll go for a bit of delay on that as well. Okay, so let's have a listen to everything now. Okay, so we've got so far we've got our 3 different sends going on. So let's go back to the mixer. So we can see we've got some tracks going to bus 2, and we can see that bus 2, we've got the inputs up here. The bus 2 inputs to this auxiliary with our room reverb. Bus 3, we've got some tracks going to, which is our Space Designer set on a medium spring. And then we've got our bus 1, we've got our tape delay, so we've got some tracks going to that as well. So I've also got set up here a distortion on a send, so not doing very much, just 1.5 dB of drive, nothing, the filter turned right the way up, so it's not removing any frequencies, not touched the output. So why might I have this on a send? So what distortion does, it adds extra harmonics to a sound, and if you use it set on a send, you get loads of control over it. So I am going to start by sending some of the drum loop through to what I've called the parallel distortion, because it's running in parallel. And what you can do, this will just help you to make your track sound fuller. Really little handy trick. So this is without it on the drum loop, and then I'll bring it in And yeah, interesting to note, you can just switch off your sends and listen to the before and after just by using the little on-off switch. So yeah, it just makes it a bit louder, and I'll do the same with the clap. So on and so forth, and I won't go over it anymore, but hopefully you can hear the difference that the distortion makes, and it's, you know, arguably making as much difference as the reverbs and the delays. But yeah, a good way to get 4 different send effects into a project. So I've used 2 different types of reverb, a really short one just to unify sounds, a much longer one which I'm using more like an effect and it suits the genre. That's why I've gone for a spring reverb, which is an old-fashioned kind of reverb that you find in like guitar amps and stuff, which was used a lot in the genre. And then we've got our tape echo, which replicates an old tape delay unit, which again has got that really retro sound. And then we've got the distortion, which is a bit of a trick really to help you to get your mixes a bit louder. I hope this is useful. Thank you.